Chapter 7 of the Virtue of Hope, and how the Virgin Our Lady practiced it. The virtue of hope naturally follows upon that of faith, since it is ordained as its complement. For if the Most High instills in us the divine light of faith, and if He wishes us, without regard to differences of position and of age, to come into the infallible knowledge of the Godhead and of His mysteries and promises, it is for no other reason than that each one of us, knowing Him as our last end object, and learning of the means of arriving at it, may engender within himself the vehement desire to reach that goal. This desire, which naturally carries with it the inclination to attain this highest good, is called hope, and is infused into our will or natural appetite in baptism. For it belongs to the proper activity of the will to strive after eternal felicity as its greatest good and blessing, to make use of divine grace for obtaining it, and for overcoming the difficulties which will occur in its pursuit. How excellent the virtue of hope is may be learned from the fact that its ultimate object is God Himself, our highest good. Although it perceives and seeks Him as something that is absent, yet, at the same time, it seeks Him also as something that is attainable through the merits of Christ and through the proper activity of the one that hopes for it. The acts and operations of this virtue are regulated by the light of divine faith and by the prudent reliance on the infallible promise of the Lord. Thus hope, by means of the reasoning powers, maintains the middle road between despair and presumption, not permitting man to presume on his own powers for the attainment of eternal glory, or to set aside meritorious activity on his own part, nor allowing fear or despondency to hinder him from exerting himself toward it on account of the Lord's promises and assurances of final success. In this security, guaranteed by divine faith in all that pertains to these things and applied in prudent and sound reasoning, man hopes without fear of being deceived, and yet also without presumption. From this it can be seen that despair may arise both from a want of believing what faith promises, and also from a failure to apply to one's own self the security of the divine promises in which one believes, but which one falsely supposes unattainable in one's own regard. Between these two dangerous extremes, hope directs us in the safe way, maintaining us in the confident belief, on the one hand, that God will not deny to ourselves what He has promised to all, and on the other hand, that the promise was not made unconditionally and absolutely, but requires our exertion and effort to merit its fulfillment as far as it is possible with the help of divine grace. For if God has made man capable of the vision of eternal glory, it is not just that anyone should attain to such felicity by sinful abuse of the very faculties with which he is to enjoy it, but that he use them in such a way as to befit the end for which he received them. This proper use of the faculties consists in the exercise of the virtues, which prepare man for the enjoyment of his highest good, and in seeking it already in this life by the knowledge and love of God. Now, in Most Holy Mary, this virtue of hope reached the highest degree possible, both in regard to itself and in regard to all its effects, circumstances, and qualities. For the desire and the striving after the last end, which is the vision and the fruition of God, was in her more active than in all other creatures. Moreover, this most faithful and prudent lady did nothing to impede these aspirations, but followed them up with all the perfection possible in a creature. Not only did she possess the infused virtue of faith in the promises of our Lord and its concomitant intensity of hope, but over and above all this, she enjoyed beatific vision, in which she learnt to know by experience the infinite truth and fidelity of the Most High. And although she did not have occasion to make use of hope while enjoying the vision and possession of the divinity, nevertheless, after again resuming her ordinary state, she was impelled by the memory of what she had enjoyed to hope and strive after it with so much the greater force and avidity. Thus the longings of the Queen of all virtues constituted a certain kind of new and particular kind of hope.